Hi everyone, my name is Mike Costanzo, and for my case assignment, we're going to discuss artificial intelligence, millennials' vulnerability to artificial intelligence, protective measures, and the positive aspects for both businesses and consumers. This week's TED Talk was an eye-opening presentation regarding our society building an artificial intelligence dystopia where vast amounts of data are collected with the goal of generating ad revenue. Much of the technology that threatens our freedom and our privacy in the near-term future is being developed by companies like Facebook, Google, Amazon, with the business of capturing and selling our data to advertisers. These machine learning algorithms can be built at the scale of billions, and they can target, infer, understand, and be deployed at individuals one by one. They'll figure out your weaknesses, and they can be sent to everybody's phone at any moment, even when we're not using it, so it's not even visible to us. They learn to understand the characteristics of people from existing data, and they also learn how to apply this to new people. So if they're presented with a new person, they can classify based off of similarities with existing data. But if the people in power are using these algorithms to quietly watch us, to judge us, and to nudge us, to predict and to identify the troublemakers and rebels, to deploy these algorithms at a scale and to manipulate individuals one by one, so using their personal and individual weaknesses and vulnerabilities, and if they're doing it at a scale that we can't even tell what's happening, that authoritarianism will encase us like a spider's web. This infrastructure of surveillance authoritarianism is being set loose upon us simply to make us more receptive to ads for ad revenue. Where are millennials most vulnerable with regard to artificial intelligence and why? A millennial is considered anyone born between the years 1981 and 1996. Interestingly, millennials are a lot more comfortable with cybersecurity than we think. Compared to other generations, millennials are more idealistic and less constrained. We grew up in the digital age, and we are more connected than any generation before us. This has conditioned millennials to become more comfortable. Millennials have higher trust in almost every category, including banks, health insurance companies, credit card companies, cell phone companies, email providers, and the list goes on. But millennials are not trusting blindly. 70% of millennials believe online privacy will be further compromised in the coming years. We're aware of the risks of having data stored online, and we know that we're vulnerable, but have just enough trust to believe that nothing terrible will happen to us. So why is that? There could be some reasons behind this way of thinking. As millennials grew up in the internet era where sites first started to emerge, we held little to no expectations for our own privacy. We became accustomed to a world where our personal data is being held by other organizations and companies, and we haven't really seen any catastrophic consequences from that reality. It could also mean that millennials have seen a greater number of security breaches, but very little damage on an individual basis. For me personally, as a millennial, I feel I am most vulnerable to my cell phone. It stores all of my personal information, banking information, stocks, my address, my 401k, social media, the list goes on. Although I have a lot of security features activated, like the two-step activation sign-in and codes being sent to my phone when I try to sign in, my cell phone personally leaves me the most vulnerable. If anybody was able to steal and hack it, they would instantly have access to all my assets and accounts. And while my actions could be reversed with the companies that I hold these accounts with, it would still do a significant amount of damage and be difficult to recover from. The immediate threat to millennials is AI's impact on the workforce. Potential job loss from the AI revolution has many workers fearful for the future, as millennials are the generation considered to be most vulnerable to the threat of AI and automation, as we are disproportionately more likely to hold positions that have a strong likelihood to one day be replaced by newer technology. This places 37% of millennials at the risk of redundancy. This could be especially alarming that half of today's work activities could be automated by 2055, and in even the most extreme scenarios, up to 20 years earlier. So what measures do we think could be put in place for consumer protection? As we've seen from the TED Talk video, the US currently lacks in privacy laws, where Europe is much more stringent. Europe adopted the General Data Protection Regulation, aka GDPR, which is the toughest privacy and security law in the world. The regulation itself is large, far-reaching, and fairly light on specifics, but signals a firm stance on data privacy and security at a time when more people are entrusting their personal data with cloud services. It imposes obligations onto organizations anywhere, so long as they target or collect data related to the people in the European Union. It levies harsh fines against those who violate its privacy and security standards, with penalties ranging in the tens of millions of euros. So while governing policies are needed, firms still must take the lead. Building trust is essential. Transparency is a key. Companies that believe in telling end users upfront exactly what's going to happen with your personal information and asking for your permission before you share it will certainly build trust. Companies educating consumers with regard to how your information is being used will also build trust. You can't trust something if you don't understand what they're going to do with it. If companies really want to go the extra mile, give the consumers the control. Let consumers see exactly how much of their data gets collected and let them control how much data goes to who. This could be done with a browser or an app. So what is the most positive aspect for both the customer and the business in the collection of customer data? For the consumer, the benefits are improving the customer experience. Roughly 63% of customers say that they expect personalization from the companies they work with when it comes to any sort of communication between themselves and the business. For many companies, consumer data offers a better way to understand and meet their customer demands. By analyzing customer behavior, as well as vast troves of reviews and feedback, companies can modify their digital presence, goods, or services to better suit the current marketplace. Contextualized data can help companies understand consumers and are engaging with and responding to their market campaigns and adjust accordingly. This highly predictive use case gives businesses an idea of what consumers want based on what they've already done. Like other aspects of consumer data analysis, marketing is becoming more about personalization. For businesses, it's profit. Companies that capture data stand to profit from it. Data brokers or data service providers that buy and sell information on customers have risen as a new industry alongside big data. For businesses that capture large amounts of data, collecting information and then selling it represents opportunities for new revenue streams. Additionally, the more you know about these kinds of products and services your customers are interested in, the more likely you are to pitch them products that are most likely to buy and to close the sale. This concludes my presentation. Thank you very much for listening to my presentation on artificial intelligence and the effect on the millennial generation. Thank you.